Welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and we are down here in the delectable, awesome studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Michaud. All right, folks, look, this episode here is pretty exciting to me. You know, every day I go out into this world, I will come across a handful of individuals that will absolutely change the course of your day. They will change the course of your week. Maybe they'll change the course of your life. And it's sometimes the story you didn't know that will come along and inspire you in such a way that you just feel compelled to share with others. Well, that's going to be this week's guest. I think we've all probably heard the expression, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, what does that mean? That means that looking on the outside of something, sometimes we, and it's easy to do, will see what the limits are or what the possibilities are of the inside of that book. And we don't even know what's inside the book. So we got to take that time and we got to open the book and go through it some. And that will suddenly start to tell the story and the picture will become clear. Well, this week's guest is a living testament to that. Now, full disclosure, until today, I had not really actually gotten to speak one-on-one with this individual. I met her at a ball field, and we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about how our story came together and why I knew that she needed to come down here to the SRP studios, share who she is, what she's doing, and where she's going. And so I do not want to delay anymore. At this time, please welcome with me our guest this week, Miss Mirikil Stewart. How are you doing, young lady?
I'm doing good.
So thank you for coming out. Was the weather nice?
Yes.
I'm a big weather guy. So whenever we come into the studio, I always seem to let my viewers know what the weather's like on this day. Now, granted, when this comes out, it'll be like 3 weeks from now. So the weather will be completely different. But I want them to know what we were going through. But today's beautiful. Today's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about how we got to meet each other anyways. So we were at a ball field, weren't we?
Yes.
Yep. And my team was playing your team. Where are you guys from?
Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Jonesboro, Arkansas. We're down in Senatobia?
Yes.
Was that where we were?
Yes.
I'm seriously asking that because we've played several tournaments and they run together. I'm like, I didn't know if I was in South Haven, Senatobia. I don't know where I'm at. So we were in Senatobia, and yeah, obviously your story is going to be captivating. And whenever I saw you playing on the ball field, you're not going to believe this, or you maybe will believe this. You brought a tear to my eye of joy. Do you do that often?
Yes.
I saw your coach even tear up whenever I talked to him about it. Because I walked over and talked to him and I said, can I meet this young lady? I would like to go talk to her. He's like, oh, go talk to her mom. They would love it. So I was like, absolutely. So we're going to talk about that part of the story, why you're so inspiring and why I found myself having to come speak to you and your family to get you to come down here. But first, I want my viewers and listeners to know a little bit about Mirikil. So tell everybody where you grew up, where you're from, family members, things like that.
I grew up in Jonesboro, Arkansas. I was raised here, and I have 3 brothers, my mom and my dad. I'm the youngest out of us all, which I love it. And
what do you love about it?
I get away with some things that my brothers couldn't get away with at times, but it also can be trouble because, I'm the youngest in the house and I'm the only one left, and Mirikil, can you come do this? Mirikil, can you come do that? And
so you're the only person to go to when you need some chores done, huh?
Yes.
So the 3 boys are out.
Yes.
Oh, I got you. What's the next closest age? You're 14?
23.
23, yeah, that's a big difference for you then. Yeah, it is all on you at that point. So It's like you don't even have that option of being like something got broke and be like, Mom, I didn't do it. She'd be like, Mirikil, you're the only one in here. So it has to be you, right? So my boys, they could blame each other and sometimes we just didn't know. So 14 years old and got the run of the house now. I would imagine you're probably large and in charge. I would think that way. I know my daughter's 15. She runs things. We like to think we run them. We ain't running nothing, Mirikil. We ain't running nothing. It's all her. It's all about her, right? So growing up in a house where you're kind of like almost like an only child, which is what she's done as well. She's kind of like only child. There's some benefits to that, as you said, and maybe not some benefits sometimes because it does fall on you. But early on in your life, you were met with possibly what some would say to be a challenge. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is the condition that you were born with?
Brachial plexus. It's where your joints are torn in like your upper, like up here. It's when from birth, I got pulled out the wrong way. and they just pulled me, and that's when my nerves got torn.
So at the time of birth, you're coming out, an incident takes place, which, by the way, is not unheard of. Incidents taking place during birth happen across the country. You like to think that maybe it's not that often, but it's probably more often than we realize. You have an injury. Now, you're a brand new baby, so you don't know any different. So you grow up with this condition, right? And so what are some of the things that as a small child you found yourself being able to deal with that somebody maybe would not have been able to deal with if this would have happened after they were used to having full use of both arms?
A lot come with it. Going to school every day, getting bullied.
So you did get bullied. See, that was part of the question I was going to ask a little later when we got to the school years, but that's an important factor. So before you went to school, though, what was life like? That's kind of what I was curious of, is day to day, you didn't know any different. It was just regular life, right?
Yes, I really didn't know nothing because, I always had a cast on, and I got it taken off when I was like 6.
6 years old. So you had a cast on for 6 years, off and on?
Well, yeah, basically. I had a large one on, and then I had like a short one on. And, also I did PT, physical therapy, my whole life basically, and it's just to help keep my muscles. And
so from the earliest memories, they had you going to physical trainers?
Yes.
Right? And so what was the cast for? Were they doing surgeries?
Yes, they tried 2 surgeries and didn't.
They didn't go the way they needed it to, huh?
Right.
All right. So for the listeners in that, essentially what has happened, though, is when from birth, your arm was damaged, your shoulder area was damaged, and it caused your right arm to contract some.
Yes.
And so how much use of your right arm do you have?
I really don't have much at all, but I still use it as the best ability as I can.
Yeah. So, and I saw that, and we're going to talk about that coming up, because that was where I was blown away. But we're going to talk about a few other things before then, but it is truly an amazing story. So then as you get older and you go into school, when was it that you started finding yourself being treated differently?
It was really like as I got older, middle school, like 5th grade, 4th grade.
Okay. And I ask that because elementary kids tend to not be as quick to judge. I'm not saying that they don't do that, but as the norm, they don't usually go quick to judge. Just when you get a little older and then people start to have more of an opinion and they have more of a voice and stuff, and then they say things they shouldn't, and they've been exposed to those types of things. So leading up to those moments, though, was anybody treating you differently in life? I mean, like at the house, did they expect different from you?
No,
I didn't think so.
They didn't, because my dad, he always taught me not to. My parents don't ever treat me handicapped. They always push me as my best ability as I can. I don't ever get treated differently. They push me. If anything, they push me as hard as I can. Maybe
even push you a little harder than they would, possibly, which ain't necessarily a bad thing, right? So then that's where I was going with that. Is in the early years, you probably didn't feel like a victim. You probably didn't feel like you were different of anything, because your parents were treating you the same, expecting the same, and it sounds like expecting more at times. So that's good, that drive factor. And I point that out because as a young person, we often, if something takes place in our lives early in our life, we don't know what we are doing without, to put it that way, right? So you didn't know what it was like to have fully functioning both arms, and then all of a sudden one's taken away. This is how you grew up. And I point that out too, because I've had a few other friends that have had injuries later in life, and it was a really hard thing for them to learn how to live life differently than they had known it. So this is all you had ever known. So then when you get to school and the kids start being mean to you, how do you handle that? What do you do next?
I used to cry and stuff like that because I didn't really know how to handle it. But as I got older, I had a great support system, and they always told me I'm able to do whatever I can. And it's just, it don't faze me anymore because I know what I'm worth and I know what I can do. So,
amen, sister. That's what I'm talking about. See, I think that a lot of people that do allow things to hurt them is because they don't see the value in themselves. So for you to be able to see that early in your life, and you're 14, and those are words of wisdom, young lady, it's so important that you keep that true to you. And it's true, and it shows because of your actions. See, people often think about words. They They will matter, but actions matter more. And your actions never suggested to you that you were any different or you were going to be seen differently from the rest of the world. So you didn't approach the life that way, which is so important that you didn't allow that to happen. So at what point is it that you start thinking to yourself, I want to play sports?
I was at a very young age. I was about 5, and I wanted to play softball because it seemed pretty cool. And ever since then, I just kept playing.
Did your brothers play sports?
Yes. My brother, the 23-year-old, he played football. He played for the Razorbacks.
Played for the Arkansas Razorbacks?
Yeah.
Get out of here. What position?
Defensive end.
Okay. So you weren't thinking about football?
No.
Well, so then you see these other, your brothers in that being athletic, so you're like, why not me? So what's that first time like? Do you have a memory of that where you go up to dad and you're like, hey, Dad, grab the ball and glove, let's go throw?
Actually, he kind of got me into the sport because he want us to be at least out of the house and not just doing nothing at all. So he kind of just got me out there, and ever since then, he pushed me, and I love it.
That's good. So 5 years old, you go outside. Now, this is the part here where it's, this is where I think back. So do you know a guy named Jim Abbott, pitcher for the New York Yankees? He pitched for a few other teams. He pitched for the Yankees. He threw a no-hitter in the major leagues. And his deformity, he was born with like one of his hands wasn't fully formed. So he would rest his glove on his hand, and then he would pitch, and then he'd have to put his glove on real fast after he pitched the ball. And then if he caught it, he had to quick transition and then throw it over to first. So it's not like I had never seen it before. But for you, what was those first times like? Do you have memory of what it was like to have to try to catch with the same hand and then transition the ball out and then make a throw?
At first, when I was like 5 or whatever, it was difficult, and I was getting frustrated because
that's what I was going toward.
Because I couldn't find a way to do it. But as I got older, my parents and a couple other people kept working with me, and that's when I finally was able to get it and got confidence to do it.
So then they kind of showed you a little bit of a technique of how to get that done,
yes.
And then you start practicing with that and working on that. So that's where I was trying to get the conversation on to see where we were, because that speaks to the volume of a coach. Your dad's coach. You know that, right? Your dad's a coach. For him to be able to do that, that's coach. How that works is a coach sees the ability and possibilities in a player, stuff that the player may not see. But the key to the coach is to get that player to see that. So it's not like he didn't give you something you didn't have. You had that within you. He just showed you how to bring it out. That's the beauty of a good coach. And so that's why I actually love coaching so much, is because I can see a player and see all the potential. And sometimes the potential is way further than they even see for themselves. So then whenever I start to connect that with them, magic happens. So at 5 years old, you get out in the yard and you start playing ball. At what point do you take this to the field? What point do you sign up and you're playing on a team?
When I was about 6.
So 1 year later, and you're in softball. Help me out with that, because it's been a while. Is 6 year old? That's Coach Pitch.
Yes.
It's Coach Pitch. So it's a couple years before you get to, was it like 10 and 9?
Yes.
Yeah, I had to think about it because my girl's older now, and I slept. So sorry about that, Mirikil. All those years run together. So you start playing softball. What position do you go to?
Outfield.
Okay. And how was it for batting? Because I know what you did with us, but I'm talking about early in your life.
It wasn't as difficult because, my right hand, the one with the breakable plexus, it still has a little grip in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really hit like a normal person. People tried to get me to do it differently, like with one hand or whatever, but I knew deep down inside that I can do it with both.
Now, remind me, are you right-handed or left-handed?
Left-handed. Left-handed.
Okay, so you're standing like this and swinging. Okay, I got you. And so with the right hand, are you just balancing the bat with that? I was trying to watch you when you hit against us. By the way, you got 2 base hits against us. Just saying, you're smoking the ball everywhere off of our best pitching. But anyways, I was trying to pay attention. Do you actually grip on the bat?
I do. It's like a support. Like you're shooting a basketball, your hand is low, and then you hold the ball to support it. It's just like that.
I want to tell you a little fun fact. This is a true story. So the girl that you got one of the hits off of, she's one of our better pitchers. And when she was 10 or 11, she was on my team, and she got hit by a line drive and broke her pinky finger. And she figured it was her left hand, so she swings right-handed, and she figured she was out. She had this little brace thing on and stuff, and it was at the very beginning of All-Star season. I said, no, let's try this. I said, flip around, bat backwards. So you're going to bat left-handed now, and all I want you to do is balance the bat with these two fingers and then swing one-armed. This girl never batted left-handed. She had never swung with one arm, and now she has a broken finger. You know what she didn't do?
Give up?
Yes. She didn't say, I can't. And whenever I suggested this and she didn't say, I can't do that, I knew we could. The key to doing anything is to believe it's possible. Miracle. That's why I bring her topic up, her subject. She understood that if she thought she could and she would listen to the instruction, it could be possible. That girl ended up in one of our All-Star games, driving in a walk-off, game-winning run, base hit to left field. What are you talking about, girl? Boy, I was so fired up. So that's the point with you, is that whenever you saw the opportunity to do something, you never thought, I can't. That's why you could. If you allowed yourself to sink into a spot where you were the victim of something and you saw only your limitations and you didn't see the possibilities, you would not be the inspiration that you are. So as a young child starting to play a game that parents come out to and they see, here's this child, her arm's different than our kids. We as grown-ups would see and say, how is she going to be able to this? How is she going to be able to that? See, you already had broke those barriers down. Tell me a little bit about what those conversations like. Because I know the players come up to you and they're like, Miracle, wow, that's awesome. How'd you make that play? How'd you hit that ball? Parents too. So did you have some young memories of that?
Yes. Parents will come up to my parents instead of me, and they'll be like, your child is an inspiration. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'll get normally. Or they'll say, or they'll just come up to me in general and be like, you did really good. Or they'll tell me I'm an inspiration myself.
Did you see yourself as being something bigger than just Miracle softball player?
I just took it as a normal person. I take the compliments and everything, But it's just like a normal person I play. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Well, and you should. That's humility. That's normal. But in the end, sometimes it is important for us to realize that our voice that we carry is bigger than us, and you have a purpose in this world. You're living out that purpose. Now, softball, I'm not saying is your purpose. I'm just saying overcoming perceived difficulties. You're overcoming them all the time. That's clear. That is obvious. And so whenever you go out there and you push yourself, and we started this conversation, your dad expected even more of you. That's not a bad thing, because whenever you expect more of yourself, guess what starts to happen around you? Those people that follow behind, they're watching you. And by the way, everybody's watching somebody. It doesn't matter where you're from and what you're doing. Everybody watches somebody. You inspire people that you'll never meet. See, if I hadn't walked over and spoke to your coach, we would have never known each other. But that's not who I am. I'm a very outgoing person. I'm going to go over and talk to folks. But I'm just saying, you didn't know that you were inspiring us, did you? Full disclosure. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. This part here, I'm going to get me a drink of water on this because this is good. This is good. So I'm trying not to tear up. I'm going to try not to, but I'm an emotional person, Miracle. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Okay. So the day we play you. Now, this probably happens more often than not, I would say. My girls are warming up, and you're over there warming up with your team. And a couple of the girls come over to me, and they asked me. They said, are we supposed to pitch to her the same? And I stopped them as they were perceiving what you would not be able to do. They were thinking about your limitations. And I stopped my whole team. And now I hadn't met you. And I said, if any of you think for 1 second you should treat her differently, I'm sitting here telling you right now, you better not. She wouldn't want it. She doesn't want you to treat her different, or else she wouldn't be out here on this field. She wants to be the same. So you better go full tilt. And in the first or second inning, Miracle, you're in right field. We had a small rally going, and there's a blue pit. You may not remember this, but I have this weird photogenic memory of things that just burns in there forever. I see you darting across right field diving and making the play. Do you remember catching the fly ball out there?
Yes.
Snuffed out our rally. Well, I don't even think we scored that inning after that. And then you come up to bat and you smoked a line drive single to left field. Girl, that first game we played each other, I was like, this kid right here is next level. I mean, next level as a softball player, not as a person overcoming a handicap. That's the first thing I thought, Mirikil. That's an achievement right there, is just knowing that now, no matter how you approach your life, you never saw yourself different, neither will other people. So as you start to prove yourself in that way, you're proving it to yourself, actually. Other people are just noticing it. So our game ends, and I think to myself, wow, I really wish I'd have went over and talked to them. And the second game, we end up playing y'all again later in the day, which is a long day. How many games y'all end up playing?
8.
I know, and I was complaining about 5. I was like, Lord have mercy, I'm ready to go home and sit down. So yeah, we ended up playing 5 straight games. This was back to back to back to back to back. So anyways, we ended up playing each other, and I think it was our 5th game of the day when we played you guys. And you were catching. Now at that point, I'm beside myself. I'm like, you guys to be kidding. Because catching's hard. Period. I don't care. I've always said catching is the hardest position on the field because you're going to get banged up by the ball. You're calling the game. It's a tough position. And here you are catching, flipping that ball over to your hand, throwing runners out, stealing. I said, that's it. I've got to go talk to these people. So when I went over and talked to your coach and asked him about you guys, do you know that man, apparently this is what he told me, cries every time somebody asks about you. You touch his heart in such a way. Do you realize the power that is? You have such a gift to inspire the next generation in a way I can't even put into words. So when you hear things like that and you hear people tell you these things, what does that do? What do you feel inside?
I get happy because I know that, like you said, I can help the next generation if they're going through something like this or anything. You're capable of anything. Mm-hmm. You can do anything you put your mind to.
No, you're absolutely right about that. And you're a living testament to that. So as you continue to play softball, and now you're 14, what grade are you in?
8th.
8th grade. What's next for you? Where do you see yourself going in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years?
Trying to go D1, a D1
Seriously?
Softball player.
So softball is your life, huh? You know, I say it that way because I thought my daughter was going to be that because she was real good. And then all of a sudden, Instagram took over. I don't know. She's like, I'm going to be a professional Instagram sitting on my couch. I'm like, that is not the same.
My dad won't let that happen.
It is a struggle. So then D1 is it. What's your favorite position?
Catching.
Catching is your favorite position. That's awesome. That's a tough position too. I mean, like you said 8 games. How many of those games you end up catching?
4.
Oh my God. That's a long day, girl. That's a long day of squats. You gotta have some good legs. You got some strong legs up and down that many times. I can only get up about 5, 6 times from the floor in a day. And then I got to hit reset for the next day. That's where we at right now. All right. So the D1. So what's your favorite subject? Let's talk about a few things outside softball. What's some of the things that you like to do besides softball?
Fishing. I like to go kayaking, tubing, stuff like that.
Spending time at the lake.
Yes. And I love the water.
Okay. So do you ski?
No.
Never skied? Joe, I bet you wouldn't put it past you if you decided you wanted to.
No.
Yeah. So tubing's a fun thing, man. I tell you what, last time I went tubing, I got beat up, girl. I got beat up. It is a tough ride if you got somebody up there trying to throw you off. That's all I'm saying. So I was like, all right, y'all win. I'm out. So what are you going to do as far as like the next 10 years? Because once you get past the D1, once you've kind of done college, which I have no doubt that you will do, I'm just wondering what you're going to do. I could put it there for you, but I'm curious what you're going to say before I mention it.
I want to do like real estate or...
I would not have thought that, but that's okay. That's good. That's a career for sure.
Or to be a traveling nurse or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, travel. My wife is a nurse practitioner, so you're always going to have work is what I can tell you. Because I was going to throw something else in there. I think you should do this. I didn't know I was going to do this, but if I would have thought about it when I was even younger, I think I'd have put more things in place. I think you should be a motivational speaker. I think you could do that because you are showing the world what is possible. Next, you can go out and explain to the world why it's possible. You're showing them already. Motivational speaking will be easy for you. Easy, I'm telling you. We talked a little bit right before the show started, and you expressed to me that you were just recently diagnosed, and I am going to try not to mess this up. I'm going to mess it up.
Myasthenia gravis.
Myasthenia gravis. So you were recently diagnosed with that. How long ago?
A year ago in February.
How did they come to know that you had that?
Basically, my parents, they noticed my smile. It looked like it hurt or whatever.
Your smile?
But it didn't. That's just how I smiled or whatever. And the way I talked, everybody will ask me, can you repeat it? Can you say it again? Because myasthenia, it comes with your muscles being weak.
Yeah.
And I was tired a lot, sleeping all day, barely can get up. And I had braces at the time, so we thought that it might have been my braces, or we went to the orthodontist, the dentist. We basically went everywhere we could, and nobody said anything. So we finally went to my primary doctor, which is Dr. Sneed, and she finally made us go to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a doctor now that takes care of myasthenia gravis, and her name is Dr. Karen, and she's great. And she finally got it under control.
How do they do it? Meds, I'm assuming? Yeah.
Yes, steroids.
Steroids, okay. And what's the prognosis on that? Is there like a recovery?
I stopped taking it because I didn't need it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was on 50, and then you keep weaning down by 5 or whatever. And it took me a while to wean down on it. But I get on this other medicine. It's a amazepine, and it helps coat your stomach or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of taking steroids, you could take that.
Okay. And so is this something that's long-term, or do they say that, you'll get better from it completely?
No, it'll last forever. You'll have to
manage it. So you just have to manage it.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you something. And for a 14-year-old girl, this is not common for anyone, much less a 14-year-old girl, to be thrown so many different life things. Those are life moments, things you didn't do anything wrong. You weren't in the wrong place, making bad choices. People do that, but none of that was you. You just living your life, and life is popping up on you, as it tends to do with folks. And you just keep taking it in stride. And your personality and your attitude and all of that is great. Where does that come from?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yes.
Staying focused, staying positive. Mindset's so much, and it's so hard to stay focused. It only takes a handful of things that go against you or doesn't go your way for you to start suddenly feeling down about it. And the more that you feel down, the worse it's going to feel. You could take a situation and have a positive outlook on it, and that situation may have been difficult, but you're going to get through it a lot easier. But if you fall into that depression mindset, it just snowballs on you, and you don't do that. So Dad keeps you centered.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Like I said, he's just very hard on me.
In a good way.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just makes sure I do everything that I can at my best ability.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he don't treat me no different. He don't treat me handicapped. If I could say anybody being the hardest on me in a good way, it'll be my dad for sure.
Yeah. Well, you need somebody in your corner like that, right? So if you have somebody that's always just kind of propping you up, it really ends up setting you up to fail. But whenever you have somebody pushing you to be the best version of you, and they do it because they love you, and that can come in a lot of ways. As a teacher and as a coach, I'm the same way, Mirikil. I am. Yeah, I'm a very big teddy bear, but whenever I see a person coming up less than what I know they're capable of, I'll push them, because that's what you're supposed to do. Because if I didn't, then I'm not actually really a good coach, am I? I'm not a great mentor. And so they're putting tools in your life right now that you're going to be able to share with other folks. So do you think that down the road, Mirikil's going to have a family? Is that something you've looked into? I was 14. I tell my daughter all the time, she's welcome to have a family, but she got to start at 30. So we got to wait a little while.
30.
Trust me, she ain't going to listen. It ain't going to matter.
I do, but I wouldn't say that's something that I'm focused on.
You shouldn't be focused on it. I was just wondering, because she does talk about she wants 3 kids and stuff. She's got things like that thought out.
I just want 2.
2 kids? Do you see yourself being a coach?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering. So that's where I was going with that. I was wondering if this is going to translate to the next generation through Mirikil's family. So that's good. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what Mirikil's got planned for her next set of life, where we're going next in things. So we'll be right back.
A great opportunity awaits. The Motivate with Coach Camp podcast is now in its second season, and we are excited to say that we have listeners all over the United States and in 19 countries. If you have a company and you're interested in some very affordable advertising, while at the same time supporting a great cause, please go to motivatewithcoachcamp.com and fill out that sponsorship page, and we'll get right back to you. You can support the podcast through donations on Venmo at Motivate with Coach Camp. Thank you to all the listeners and guests who have blessed this podcast with their engagement and involvement.
As we are getting close to the finish line here, we've talked about a handful of things, and I want to touch on something that we mentioned before the show started, was you recently got a dog.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
It was a birthday gift of last year. I got a Frenchie for one of my softball friend parent.
Okay.
I'm really close with them. I always go to the lake with them or whatever. And I was sick during that time. I had got surgery on my thyroid gland, got that removed. And in August, I had got a Frenchie.
And what's his name?
Cash.
Cash. How'd you come up with Cash? Like Cash Money. How does that come about?
It just looked like a good fit for him, and that's what
He just looked like his name needed to be Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how we ended up with Finley with my dog, but it should have been named Gray Streak, because that's all you see is a gray streak running past back and forth. He's so fast. So obviously you have your regular 14-year-old stuff. You got you a dog. You like going to the lake. You're playing softball. What's school like for you? What's your favorite subject?
Math.
Math.
I love math.
Jeez. God bless you, girl. Because that is my worst subject in the whole wide world. Algebra, is that even math? Once you start putting letters in it, is it really math anymore? I don't think so. It's got to be numbers for me.
That's
anyways.
like Algebra 1 or whatever. I'm just in math right now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I can do your regular basic math, but once you start putting in some different symbols and then you've got some letters in there, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. All right. So last couple things here I'm curious about. So you still face setbacks. You still face issues that come up. What could you tell somebody about facing those things and moving forward? Because as we spoke off air, things will happen, and it's never about what happens to you. It's about what you do next. So what would you tell someone? I know your dad's a support system. He's like your go-getter cheerleader in the backyard. I get that. But like, what would you tell somebody that is going through some tough spots right now?
Just do what you can and be the best that you can be. Everything's going to fall in place. Just let it ride and take it one day. I'll say.
Do you have something that you go to? Like, I'll be honest with you. For me, whenever I start, and it's easy to do, you start having a bad day, you're going to have a bad week, and stuff starts to kind of build up on you. You start to feel that stress in your mind. I go for a long run. Now, you may look at me and be like, you're kind of overweight, Coach Camp. I am. But I can still run for a long time, and that clears it. So do you have something that you use?
I'll just go outside and listen to music or something.
Okay.
And just think and let it go.
Kind of just meditate on the moment, and then let that thing that's bothering you pass on.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to add to our conversation? I appreciate you coming all the way down from Jonesboro, Arkansas, by the way. And I never heard you say light or bright, because I've got family in Jonesboro, and they have a hard "it" on everything they say. So I never even heard that from you. So it's like you've filtered that one. That's interesting. You come all the way out here from Jonesboro. So I want this to be about you. You've shared your amazing story of where you've come from and what you've had to go through and how you're where you are, why you inspired me, why you are inspiring others, how you touch your coach's heart every time you go on that ball field, how your dad is the strength behind the fight, because we all need that person that's going to push us whenever things are tough. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't stop. Quitting's not an option. You've got that. You've got that. So what do you want to share with other folks right now? Because this is about Mirikil right here. I want you to have this moment to shine.
What I would just say to people that's going through anything, just take it one day at a time and be the best that you can. Don't try to control things that you can't control.
Oh, you just said a mouthful. Man, if adults could get that one. If adults could realize, control the things you can control, and then the rest you just got to let God. And that's what I do all the time, girl. It's not easy because we like to be in control of stuff. We want to feel like we can determine our outcome. Sometimes you just can't, and you got to let that go. You got to know that. So that's very profound. Your brothers look up to you?
Yes.
I would think so. Yeah, you probably could control them like robots. That's how my daughter is. She can just tell her brother stuff and they just like do it.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else you would like to share with my listeners?
I would just like to thank you for letting me be on your show.
Thank you. You're the star of this, Miss Miracle. To be honest with you, whenever I was gifted with an opportunity to have this platform and to be able to share stories with other people, I knew that this was so much bigger than me. It's not about Coach Camp. In fact, if you look at my title, it says Motivate with Coach Camp. The with is there for a reason. It's because I know we are stronger when we are together. We are better as a community. And when we back each other up, there is absolutely nothing we can't do together. You can go out there and you can change the world, and you got to believe that. And I don't have to tell you that, Miracle, because you started believing in things when others couldn't at a very early age. That's why I know you're going to be impactful. That's why I'm so glad you came out here. You decided to be on my show. You're going to be something right now that I am, when I look back on this day and this moment, getting to know you just a little bit, seeing where you're going to go next, I am going to feel so honored, so humbled that you spent a few hours of your day to come down here and just share with my listeners. And you've touched lives all over the world right now. I don't know if you realize that. No fear or anything. But like people somewhere in Australia is watching this show and they are inspired by you. And that is a fact.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I look forward to seeing what happens next. And look, just one thing. If we play your team again in the future, take it easy on us.
I don't know about that.
All right, I don't expect you to. Gun us down every time, girl. I'm going to be pulling for you, too. You know that? Coach Cam, they're going to be like, what's he doing? Why is he cheering for that up? Don't you worry about it. She was on my show. Now what? Well, thank you so much. I want to say thank you to my listeners. Always tuning in, such great comments, paying attention to stuff. Look, from one week to the next, I'm going to bring you something. I hope it hits home. I hope it's something you can use. I'm going to ask you, please continue to tune in. Go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com. Go to my YouTube and subscribe. And until next time, Coach Camp out.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape,